Many people are confined to the stereotypes that the media has portrayed Latinas to be. In the U.S. alone, Latinos make up over 50 million of our population. In this film, I interviewed 8 Latinas attending university in regards to their relationship with these stereotypes, with intention of showing how we are not bound to these stereotypes and how diverse we are within our community.
My name is Isabel Alvarez Diaz, and I am Mexican and Puerto Rican.
It's Cristina Maria O'Connor Gonzalez Rubio, but according to my passport, it's Cristina Maria O'Connor, and I am half Ecuadorian.
My name is Leasha Johnson. I am Puerto Rican.
I'm Ayana Ward, and I'm half Panamanian, half Black.
I'm Ayanti, and I'm half Indian, half Puerto Rican.
My name is Samantha Diorio Torres, and I'm Puerto Rican and Mexican.
My name is Kira de la Cruz, and I'm Dominican.
My name is Stephanie Andrade, and I'm Ecuadorian.
In Spanish, when you say something, you say, to make it masculine or feminine, the O or A. So Latino, Latina. So the X allows for the inclusion of people who don't necessarily identify with either gender.
I do not.
Inclusive to those who don't identify as either male or female.
I'd say yeah, I do. I feel like I do my part.
I have not been involved in any specific organizations that identify just as Latinx.
Like in my family, yes, definitely. But anywhere else, probably not.
I would say no.
At home, it is definitely a big part of the family life and the community life.
I wasn't really raised around a lot of my Latino relatives, so I feel like I'm more Americanized, so I don't really interact in the Latin community.
Well, I come from a Latin community. We're all from DR.
Extremely. I work on campus at the Puerto Rican and Latin American Cultural Center, and I'm heavily involved in other organizations like the Ecuadorian Student Association, as well as culturally, I'm just very Hispanic.
Around 37 million of Spanish households in America speak Spanish. That's around 74% of the U.S. Hispanic population. But because it is so common for a Hispanic to speak the language, whenever they don't, they are seen as whitewashed or not Hispanic enough.
Yeah.
Yes, my grandmother made sure of it. I do walk around campus speaking a lot of Spanish, which I did not expect in Connecticut.
Yes.
Would you say that it's proper Spanish?
No.
What kind of Spanish would you
Spanglish?
No.
And I speak Spanish at home with my family. On campus, not so much.
I do not.
Yes, I do.
Would you say that it's proper Spanish?
It's different. It's not what you guys learn in school, but
I do. That was my first language.
I think with today's current media, I think they're definitely being over-sexualized.
If you were to look at American film, Latinas are sexualized. They're seen as sexual objects.
They like ratchet and big hoops and stuff like that. They like to talk a lot. They're really loud. Low income.
Minimal clothing. Cleavage is going to be out. The dresses are going to be very tight. The heels are going to be very tall.
Man, he has been working all his life to be president, and now looks just salsas in and tries to take it.
You can have two different stereotypes. You can have the sexualized Latina, which is usually your Latino who grows up skinny with the nice features, or you can have Latina that pretty much works in the house, is what they call it, a maid.
For Modern Family, you have Sofia Vergara. I think there's some aspects of her in that character that does a really good job and a well job highlighting the Hispanic community, but she's loud and she's this sort of way, and it puts a negative perspective.
I don't feel like they're degraded as much as they might have been in the past.
I think that we are moving forward, but I still think poorly. I think that there are still stereotypes that we fall under, and we see that in, the things that we see recently, like, music videos or television shows.
I guess celebrating each other's Independence Days, Mexico's Independence Day, Cinco de Mayo.
Just in embracing our Latin culture and embracing the love of family and just being together, where every Sunday is spent together in family. And so we'll go to Mass together, a big emphasis on faith and family and enjoying the little moments in life. Whatever it is, usually there's food involved and a little bit of chocolate.
No, not really, none.
We eat a lot of Hispanic food, and then the holidays are really big. So 3 Kings Day and Christmas, we always go down to Puerto Rico.
I do not.
Yeah. Every year for Dominican Independence Day, we go to the parade.
We're very family oriented, so in itself, I guess one of the traditions is just everything happens with everyone. And so every birthday, every graduation, baptism, and we celebrate it together. We get together and there's food and there's dancing and music, and we do have like our culture, like in our traditions with like our ingredients and, you know, what we make together, our recipes, and so that's all brought down.
78% of Latinos agree that community involvement is important to their well-being. 86% of their involvement is in relations to their family. In comparison to the interviewee's own view of what culture and tradition is, I showed them a short clip displaying how they are represented in media, to see if they felt like media represented them well.
I think they're very accurate. Like in media, I think those are definitely the stereotypes that you see, especially the ones around Hispanics being like not educated, being dirty.
I definitely feel those are accurate representations of what I see in the media.
Definitely pretty accurate to then and now. Like self-centered and stubborn. Not like fully, but like some aspects, yeah.
I feel like that's definitely portrayed in the media, but I don't really see it in today's life too much.
In like a show like Jane the Virgin, there's obviously intelligence portrayed in her character, but that usually brings in that struggle of, am I Latina enough, which is another issue.
When they're portrayed well, they're usually hardworking, honest, in terms of like women at least, usually looking to make a better life for themselves, whether it's for their kids or for their future.
The Cholo. I didn't like that part.
What some of the most like famous novelas that people know do have those stereotypes, so I definitely do think those stereotypes are still around and common. Just like most, if not all stereotypes, they're exaggerated and just kind of like blown out of proportion.
I think that everything was wrong with the stereotypes presented in the video because Latina women don't just know how to clean. They are very intelligent. They could do so much more in the world. Like, that's not all they can do.
I think that those are like definitely one of the most top stereotypes that we found in our media today. I think it's completely wrong, and I don't agree with it, just because in the sense where it's like, it's such, like the way, the personalities that they have for like Latinas, like can genuinely be found in any culture, in any race.
The novelas that I watch or the movies that I watch, none of them really portray what I feel like a Hispanic community really is.
I do think so. They're offered more roles. They're able to pursue different lifestyles.
Yeah. It's really dramatic and really, it's different. It's different.
No.
¡Lárgate ahora mismo de esta casa! ¡Mi niña! ¡Ya es de noche! ¡Lárgate!
No, I think that there's a definitely reason why Spanish novelas try to even use the same stereotypes, because they want to try to have the audience to be like more American, and so they give them what they want to see, but I think they're exaggerated and I think they're wrong.
Some Latinos feel that they are more Latino than others because they are more involved in the community. But what makes someone more Latino? The only thing that we can use to define a Latino is by the stereotypes that the media has released.
This is another thing, is that what happens in this country is we are the Latino community, right? Under that umbrella of Latino community, you have underneath 50 or so countries.
Cubans, Mexicans, Venezuelans,
Ecuadorians,
everywhere.
Dominicans,
And
Puerto
we're all
Ricans.
different.
And we're all different. We have different music,
languages.
we have different food, we have different slang, we wear different cultural garb, we have different skin colors. To put us in a box is unfair. Some people have come over from a different country, so Spanish is their first language. Some people are born here in this country. English is their first language. My parents specifically were terrified of us having accents because they were made fun of their whole life for accents. So they wanted to assimilate us into a culture that wouldn't right away put up their guard against us because of our accent. So they chose to only speak English in the house. They chose to teach us English as our first language. I'm going to be reprimanded by a culture that I'm supposed to support and is supposed to support me because of the way I was raised? That is too limiting. That is unfair to any child, to any human being.
Yes. I was born in Puerto Rico, so I spoke Spanish, and then coming to the United States and having to learn English was a lot. The reason why my English is not the best now, my writing is not the best, my reading is not the best, is because I spoke Spanish in the house and then I would go to school and try to speak English. So the transition was super hard. I'm fortunate that I have supportive parents who helped me through that, but I was definitely behind in school. I went to Catholic school, and so they didn't have enough support I felt like I needed. And when I went to the public school, then they gave me a lot of support, and that helped me.
I would say a standard American education. My siblings, actually, because we were raised in a bilingual household, they actually had a little bit of confusion when going to school as far as who to speak in English to, because raised by a Spanish-speaking mother and an English-speaking father, my siblings associated females with speaking in Spanish, so that was a little bit of an issue. But once it came time to applying to college, my college essay actually ended up being about how important it was to me that I was raised in a bilingual house.
Well, I went to like public schools and stuff like that, so I guess you can say it was like kind of not the best, not the worst, but like I'm in college, so it was okay, I guess.
No, especially not because I don't speak Spanish. It was really good. My mom always worked hard to put me and my brother into the best schools. So I was in Catholic school, in the best Catholic school in our town.
It wasn't the best. The school that I went to was a public school, and the teachers didn't really know how to teach people who didn't know how to speak proper English.
I think definitely when you're out in public and you're speaking Spanish, you definitely get that sort of this is America, speak English. So I definitely had to deal with a lot of that growing up, and I know it did affect me greatly where I no longer wanted to speak Spanish at all in public. I think considerably different because I'm Latina. I've been going to public school for most, if not all, my life, and being in public school, you're kind of surrounded by other minorities, and so there's always a larger portions of different cultures in public school. So in a sense, I've always taken Spanish class, and it's just one of those things that have affected me growing up, and it was very different because it's I already know Spanish, and so everyone just assumed that I knew everything and that I only passed because my parents spoke it to me or they did my work. So
I'd say it's the same as any other average American. I remember in high school, one of my good friends actually, which was kind of strange that it happened, but he used to just joke around with me, and he'd be like, oh, you must be able to jump really high so you could jump over the board, or blah blah blah, and I just kind of shake it off it doesn't really matter, but that's kind of weird of a good friend to talk about with me.
I was in the English second learning classes, the ESL classes, because Spanish was my first language. So I was always put in classes with Spanish teachers as well as Spanish students. But I picked up the language really quickly, and then after that I was just kind of stayed on my regular classes, but I was always a really good student. It's not so much being Latina, I think it's being a first generation student partly. My mom migrated here from her country, and she's a single mother, and so it was kind of dealing with the fact that she doesn't know anything about this country, and so I had to kind of figure it out on my own, and a lot of that was really hard growing up because I didn't have anyone to ask questions to or to, you know, be able to say, like, how do you do this? Like, applying to college, you know, like, that was a entirely solo kind of process that I did on my own, and it was really, really hard.
All the time.
People look at me, and the common reaction I get if they overhear me speaking in Spanish is, "Wow, you speak Spanish really well. How do you know Spanish?"
Yes, definitely, all the time.
Yes. I usually get the question when they see my hair. It's usually, what are you mixed with?
Yes, I do. I have my friends.
With their friends.
Yeah. They say I'm Mexican and I'm not Mexican.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Everything, the people, the culture, the vibrancy of it all, you know, it's a community in itself. You know, you have a language with people that is very different than a lot of other cultures. It's being Latina is just like any other culture. It comes with its benefits, obviously, and its disadvantages, but at the end of the day, it's just a way for you to connect with people that are similar to yourself. So I wouldn't have it any other way.
My favorite, there's just so many parts. But what I love about being Latina and speaking Spanish is being able to connect with people.
The music, the family, the food, definitely.
The parties and the food.
Definitely the food. And like just like all the celebration that comes with it, like especially when I'm with my like relatives in California who are Latino, like it's just always a fun time, and it's really nice to like encompass the culture that I don't really get to while I'm home.
The food and dancing.
I think my favorite part is just the overall culture and the environment and just our shared values. I think we're really kind of a close-knit community, and I really like that sense. I like the fact that like we speak like 2 languages. I like that we have like our like signature dishes. I think that's probably my favorite part.
Oh my god, everything. I think it's definitely like just the sense of feeling that you get when you're like with your people. I think that there's nothing like it. Like, I love, you know, the food partly. I love like, you know, like how we are, the way we express ourselves, like the way we love, the way our families is, you know, like all that is just, it's great.
The media does not represent what it is like to be Latina in America. And the less we condone these representations, the less it will affect our future generations. This is what being Latina really is.
Spicy.
Exciting.
Special.
Fun.
Passionate.
Phenomenal.
Loud.
Tradition.
What makes a Latino, why not just what makes a human being? Kind,